Because of COVID, we were able to deploy everybody and set a standard for, I guess, the new way we're going to do business.
Tonight, the Saskatoon Tribal Council leads the community outreach team in a new pilot project.
As a Métis woman, it makes me very proud to speak my language, to speak the language in the classroom with the kindergartens.
Using Michif as a teaching tool.
I had to find some way to find the money, I guess, and send him out, because I made a promise to him there years ago.
And an Innu grandfather takes steps to help his grandson go to hockey school. Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. We begin tonight with pandemic news. Today, Quebec added 2 more regions, Laval and Ottawa, into the orange, or level 3 of its COVID-19 alert system. That means tighter restrictions on public and private gatherings, earlier closing times for bars and restaurants, and increased enforcement by police. Quebec's health minister acknowledged that these are hard times.
Situation that we are going through, but every one of us, each day can make a big difference. And I know that the Quebecois have been there in the first wave, and I have no doubt that it can be there again to help us making sure that we contain this wave in the next few weeks.
Dubé also said that this phase of the virus is different, with regions that were spared in the first wave now being impacted by the virus. British Columbia is seeing a steady rise in COVID-19 cases. Yesterday, the province announced 366 new infections and 4 more deaths over the weekend. When asked about whether or not BC is in a second wave, Dr. Bonnie Henry says it's possible.
We are certainly in a resurgence, and I've said that. Whether it is for us, it is very similar to, it could be a second wave, if you want to call it that. I think we are in this, as I've said many times, for a long haul, and we need to find that balance of being able to carry out activities that are important for our health and well-being of our communities, whether that's work or school or elections, as well as maintaining our control over cases of COVID in our communities.
Dr. Henry also said people need to be adamant about flu season as we head into the fall. Still in BC, the race for the leadership of the Métis Nation of British Columbia wrapped up last night. There were 2,500 voters that mailed in ballots, and the counting was streamed online through Facebook. This is the first time this election has been held this way because of the pandemic. Counting went far into the night. In the end, President Clara Morin-Decole and Vice President Lisa Dawn Smith were re-elected. The family of a missing Alberta woman is still looking for answers 1 year after her disappearance. 22-year-old Shaylin McAllister of the Horse Lake First Nation was last seen in July of 2019 when she left her workplace at A&W in Fairview, Alberta. Many searches have been organized to find the mother of 3 and have so far been unsuccessful. Her mother, Trudy McAllister, says her family is desperate for an explanation.
It doesn't get any easier for me and my family. We need some answers. Like, was she in the wrong place at the wrong time? We don't know.
Time to step aside for a quick break, but as we do, here's a look at something we're working on.
The Kaska and Naha Dene have used this pristine area for centuries. Permanently settled by the federal government in the late 1950s, Nahanni Butte is now home to roughly 100 people.
Look, over here.
This week, APTN National News tours one of the smallest and most remote communities in Denendeh, Northwest Territories.
Here's a look at Wednesday's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, showers and 19 in St. John's, 23 with rain in Halifax, 10 and sunny in Nain, 12 with showers for Cartwright, 22 under the sun in Montreal, 16 and showers in Saguenay, 25 for Toronto and London, 22 in Ottawa, 24 in Thunder Bay, rain, and 17 for Sioux Lookout. 11 in God's Lake, 1 degree warmer in Norway House. 18 with showers in Winnipeg, 15 and sunny in Barons River. 20 with rain in Regina, 20 and no rain in Saskatoon. 16 in Uranium City, 15 in Stony Rapids. Welcome back. 101 First Nations associations and NGOs are calling for the government to remove fish farming from the Discovery Islands off BC's west coast. They say the Fraser salmon fishery has collapsed and the fish farms are partly to blame. Tina House has more.
They come and share their thoughts on wild salmon, the state that we face.
Bob Chamberlain is a former vice president of the Union of BC Indian Chiefs. He has spent over 30 years fighting to save the wild salmon. He says fish farms have become part of the problem. They have to go.
We have yet another abysmal return of salmon back to the Fraser River. This has been going on for far too long. And when you measure DFO's actions in terms of looking after wild salmon, they're failing.
At this socially distanced press conference, experts, chiefs, and fishermen expressed their frustration.
I love to be passionate about salmon. You know, we feast on it. People in that city right there, they want to know there's salmon. They may never ever see one. We want to know we have them in our rivers. They've got to remove those farms from Discovery to start. You know, we got to stop accommodating fish farms. They've got to get out. That's all I really want to say.
Back in 2009, the Cohen Commission was created to look at the decline in salmon on the Fraser River. $25 million was spent on the inquiry, and it provided a series of recommendations. Number 19 of those recommendations was that if fish farms disrupted the Fraser River salmon in any way, they must be closed by September 30th, 2020. And with that deadline looming, everyone here says the time to act is now. Chief Wayne Sparrow of Musqueam on the Fraser River says his community hasn't been able to fish in 2 years.
It's industry that's driving it, and we have to pull together as First Nations, you know, to use our powers that we have and the legal mechanism that we have to try to get them out. Like I said, we were a fool for a while until it got brought to our attention by my cousin Mike Sparrow that the fish farm recommendations weren't being followed. So we had a few commission meetings to talk about it, thinking that those recommendations were going to be adhered to, and then finding out. So now we're into the fight now, and we're not going to give up the fight.
If I was able to talk to Prime Minister Trudeau and Minister Jordan right now, I would ask him, who are you listening to in terms of fish farms, in terms of implementing Cohen Recommendation 19, in terms of actioning the transition of fish farms to open net cage, from open net cage to land-based closed containment.
Tina House, APTN National News, North Vancouver.
To Winnipeg now, where the Manitoba Museum is playing host to a 350-year-old document. For the first time in its history, the Hudson Bay Company's Royal Charter is on display to the public. The charter was granted by King Charles II in 1670, and it gave the Hudson Bay Company control over all lands whose river and streams drain into the Hudson Bay. That amounted to about 40% of what is now known as Canada. This was done without consultation or approval of the Indigenous owners of the land. The company later transferred its so-called land rights to the newly formed country of Canada in 1870, again without consultation or consent.
It definitely reflects that colonial mindset, and that was something that was prevalent at that time, what they often called the age of discovery, because of course they thought they were discovering new places. We know that's not true. But yeah, it reflects that attitude, and it reflects the complexities of the relationship between the company and Indigenous peoples.
In Saskatoon, a new pilot project is starting to help the city's most vulnerable people. Priscilla Wolfe has that story.
During the first few months when COVID-19 affected the city of Saskatoon, many organizations worked together to feed and house the city's homeless and most vulnerable. The group also offered mental health services and addiction support. The work they did during those months helped the group develop this new pilot project by working together. The pilot project will be called Sawai Totan, which means let us bless each other through our show of respect for each other. The Saskatoon Tribal Council will lead the new community outreach team. Tribal Chief Mark Arcan says they've been waiting to do this type of work for years.
Because of COVID, we were able to deploy everybody and set a standard for, I guess, the new way we're going to do business.
Provincial Social Services Minister Paul Merriman says he will be on a task force to keep the pilot project running.
But it's not just the money that we're putting forward, we're also putting resources in behind that. We're having people that are going to be dedicated from income assistance and from our housing area that are going to support this team. Because it's one thing to have a team out there, but we need to make sure that they have the support internally from social services.
The pilot project is funded by Saskatoon and the province and is already in operation with outreach workers out on the streets. The idea is to help feed and house people, then get them any mental health help that they may need.
And our goal is to get as many people housed and keeping those services they need to really have them become healthier, right? It's not just going to happen overnight. And the community can't expect that. The community has to be patient and understanding because this has been going on for a lot of years.
The goal is to expand this pilot project into a permanent program here in Saskatoon. Priscilla Wolf, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
The Lac Babine First Nation has signed an agreement with Canada and the government of British Columbia. The 2,500-member band is located near Burns Lake, and the agreement includes $43 million in funding and 20,000 hectares of land, valued at $150 million. Chief Gordon Alec signed the agreement in a virtual event last week with federal and provincial Indigenous relations ministers.
This day is for them because it is our job to create a better future. A future where children and grandchildren may live their lives in self-determination with the benefit of their Aboriginal title.
APTN National News has a new video journalist in Thunder Bay, and we're pleased to welcome Crystal Hardy to the team. We spoke with her about it earlier today. Crystal, welcome to the team. Can you tell the viewers a bit about yourself?
Hi, thank you so much. Hello, Buju, Zhongwei, Benise, Kwe, Nishnakaz, Makwado, Dem, Bajiti, Wabik, Saging, and Nishnabek. So I'm Crystal Hardy. My spirit name is Sounding Thunderbird Woman. I'm in the Bear Clan, and I'm from Rocky Bay First Nation, but I live here in Thunder Bay, and I'm super excited to be a part of the team. I've been working as a nurse practitioner and educator here in the region for a long time, and I've really seen, some things that need to be brought to, everyone's attention, and I'm really excited to be able to be a part of the team and make that happen.
What are some of those stories that you hope to bring to the viewers?
So a big part of my life, I'm a very spiritual person, so my spirit name being Sounding Thunderbird Woman, I think it's really important to me to make the sound of thunder and to, shed light on things through, lightning. So light on things that people need to know about, and raising thunder and raising awareness for things that people maybe feel like they haven't been able to raise awareness about. So, I really want to reach many people in this region about the Indigenous issues that we face. Definitely there's a lot of issues that are similar across Canada, but our region has very specific issues that are related to us, and I think it's important that people are aware of that.
Indeed, and one of the things we were reporting on yesterday with regard to your area is the number of new cases of COVID-19 affecting 3 First Nations. Do you have any further information on that?
Well, right now, health officials say that they're monitoring the situation really closely, like pandemic protocols have been in place. There's some contact tracing that's still happening, but right now I'm keeping an eye on the health officials reporting and seeing if there's any new cases, but as of today so far, I haven't reported any new cases.
Well, Crystal, it's great to talk with you. It's great to have a reporter back in Thunder Bay and area, so thanks for spending some time with us here today.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
Today is the autumn equinox, and summer has come to an end. But the start of fall also means the return of some of your APTN favorites. New episodes of APTN Investigates, Nation to Nation, In Focus, and Face to Face are just 2 weeks away. Here's a look at what's coming up this season on Face to Face. Face to Face is set to return for its 7th season on Tuesday, October 6th. We'll kick off the new season with Anishinaabe writer, broadcaster, and the newly minted chair of the board of the Canada Council for the Arts, Jesse Wente.
There's this big reckoning happening in newsrooms right across Turtle Island, where all of this history is coming out, and we're hearing about the treatment that so many people of color, Black and Indigenous people have suffered in these institutions. It's important that those of us that have been there for very long put our names to those efforts.
Award-winning Cree filmmaker Tasha Hubbard will also join us on the show this season to discuss her documentaries that have focused on racism and policing on the prairies.
My concern is the increased militarization of police, and seeing their budgets and the purchase of tanks and body armor and all of these things, that haven't made a difference, in there being, safety in the community.
Just a small sample of our guests coming up on this season of Face to Face, debuting October 6th, right after APTN National News. Just 2 weeks from tonight, exciting time of year. Still to come, we'll have a profile on an up-and-coming hockey player and visit a kindergarten class learning Michif. Here's a look at the rest of your Wednesday weather forecast, picking back up in northern Alberta. 20 in Peace River, 18 in Grand Prairie. 24 in Medicine Hat, 21 and sunny in Edmonton. Showers on the west coast, 17 in Vancouver, 16 in Victoria. 14 with rain in Fort Nelson, 16 and showers in Prince George. 5 and rain in Old Crow, rain, and 12 for Whitehorse. Sunny and 14 for Yellowknife, Wrigley, and Norman Wells. 1 with a chance of snow in Sax Harbor, +5 and rain in Paulatuck. +2 in Repulse Bay, 8 in Arviette. -2 with snow in Resolute, snow, and -1 in Arctic Bay. Welcome back. Ka wi wittanum lalung. That's reclaimed language in Michif, and it's the aim of a new pilot project in Saskatoon looking to teach a new generation of Michif language speakers in hopes of reviving it. Priscilla Wolf has that story.
Maddie. September, and in Michif we say Tagwaga-Pisam. Good job.
When St. Michael's Elementary School in Saskatoon started up a new school year 2 weeks ago, they launched a new Michif bilingual program for the kindergarten class. Principal Kristen Dorgan-Lee says it's a great new pilot project.
So we want to really ensure that we're growing the Michif culture and the Michif language, and so by having that here housed at our school, we have an opportunity to revitalize the language and really celebrate the culture.
The school already had a core Métis and Michif program for older kids, and this new bilingual class enhances their Métis language and cultural teachings. The kindergarten program is open to all students, but the majority in this class are First Nation or Métis.
How do we say Monday in Michif?
Here at St. Michael Community School, for the past 5 years, we were already a Métis-focused school, Métis School of Excellence, teaching through Métis perspectives.
Dorgan-Lee adds the hope is to help revive the Michif language in this younger generation.
The pilot project is really interesting because we know that our Michif language is very, very close to be losing many of its speakers. There are very, very few speakers.
Sandra Lalaberty is a language keeper. She works hands-on with the kindergarten class. Lalaberty says it's fun speaking her language daily.
As a Métis woman, it makes me very proud to speak my language, to speak the language in the classroom with the kindergartens. And I can see it already, even though we've only been here for 2 weeks with these little ones. Like, they are using the language.
Red, but in Michif, it's Good job.
Lalaberty adds it's a great job to have, working with kindergartners and speaking Michif all day. She has hope that this pilot project will expand in the future.
Big merci to them, because it's such a joy to be here, to be doing this. So I truly believe that it will be a success.
Priscilla Wolf, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
And good luck to those little ones. A 14-year-old Innu hockey player from Labrador is making major strides in his young hockey career. He will be heading to one of Canada's elite hockey programs. The tuition is expensive, and the pandemic made it even harder to afford. But that didn't stop his grandfather from raising the money by walking over 330 kilometers.
Arias Benuin started playing hockey when he was 7, a little later than some of his peers, but that hasn't stopped him from excelling at the game. Arias played last season at the Canadian International Hockey Academy, a private high-level hockey school in Rockland, Ontario, that stresses academic work as much as hard work on the ice. The pandemic put a damper on being able to afford tuition costs for this season.
It didn't work, and I had to find some way to find the money, I guess, and send him out, because I made a promise to him there when years ago that I will try everything I can to help you get a good education, right? So, yeah.
Arias was step by step with his grandfather the whole journey and appreciates his grandfather for giving him the chance to play hockey and keeping his promise.
I want to thank my grandfather and grandma for doing the fundraiser and the walk for me. I grew up to hockey. My whole family played hockey. And like most of the reserve plays hockey. It's the most popular sport in our reserve.
Sebastian walked 334 kilometers over the course of 9 days from Churchill Falls, ending September 8th in his hometown of Sheshatshiu. The initial goal was $50,000, but with donations and sponsors coming in from across the country, that goal was smashed. They raised just over $74,000.
I was surprised when I see the amount of money that we raised. I didn't think I was going to reach my goal, and it was so emotional when my sister was telling me that this is how much we made, and I couldn't even describe how I felt, because I was almost cry at the time.
Arias is going back to the academy in Rockland in the first week of October. Daryl Stranger, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
And good luck, Arias. That's a good grandfather you got yourself there. And that's all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Tuesday. You can find more on these and other stories over on our website at aptnnews.ca, and never miss a headline by downloading the APTN News app. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great night.